Coleman here from BWOne.com, and I'm going to give you my 30-day review of the Samsung Galaxy S3. Well, the reason I chose to do a 30-day review with it is because when the phone was announced, I decided to make it my daily driver, my phone for my own personal use that I use on an everyday basis. So I wanted to give you a little more of a personal review rather than a standard review, which is usually after about a couple weeks of usage or so, because that's usually about the time frame most tech reviewers get when they get a phone loaner agreement, sort of a loaner agreement there. So that's what we're going to do here with our review, and review is going to be based primarily on the Verizon version of the phone, but I have used the Sprint, T-Mobile, and AT&T versions of the Galaxy S3, so a lot of the information I'm going to say in this video is going to pretty much work across the board between all the devices here. So if you have any questions, specific questions at the end of the video, just post your comment below and let me know what you think here. So let's start off here with one of the main things, obviously concerning with the phone, is how well does it work as a phone and its performance. So as a phone with making phone calls, it's pretty good at doing that. The call quality is pretty good on both ends of the call. People can hear me well, I could hear them well. Speakerphone also works pretty good too. Some people are going to be able to tell that you're on a speakerphone, but for the most part, the quality of the call is pretty good with that. I haven't had any drop calls with it, so I've enjoyed that. A lot of it has to do with Verizon's pretty solid network there, but the call quality's been good. And what's pretty cool is that there's in-call settings as well too that you can sort of have. It's like an in-call equalizer, so you can kind of customize it to sort of your own personal taste, personal hearing taste there. So it's pretty cool if you have that added on there with it too. Now also its performance is how well does the phone perform on a daily basis. So one of the big things is obviously it's the hardware and the software with it. So it does come with a dual-core 1.5 GHz Snapdragon S4 processor with 2 GB of RAM, and it's using Android 4.0 with TouchWiz interface on top of it. And using this as a daily driver, I really do like it, and it hasn't really slowed down or anything like that for me. That's one of the things I always look for is that lag, and I really haven't seen any lag while using it. Using the phone, the processor keeps everything running nice and smooth, and at 2 GB of RAM, it's pretty nice. It keeps you being able to run a whole bunch of apps on it and not run out of RAM, and app starts kind of slowing down and stuff like that. I've had really good and solid performance with it. Now, one of the things I was worried about is TouchWiz itself with this new Nature UX sort of interface, and was that going to really interfere with sort of my daily usage? And you know, I'm one of those people that really do like to use stock versions of Android, but I will give a skin a chance, of course. And what I like what Samsung's done with TouchWiz here with Nature UX is that they really toned down a lot of the things that they were really used to sort of kind of engulf within Android. They really pretty much add things that Android 4.0 sort of lacks in and sort of try to improve it. And if it's something Android has, they kind of enhance it with stuff like S-Beam and pretty much sort of the Nature UX interface with the motion controls, which is pretty cool. You're not going to really use every single one of those motion controls in there, but it's pretty cool that they do have it on there available to use, and you can set those sort of as you want to, so that's pretty nice that it has that. And it's also cool that they improved the camera, because the stock camera in Android isn't that great, but the camera that they've added on here is pretty good. 8-megapixel camera, 1080p HD video capture, 0 shutter lag. You can take pictures while recording video at the same time. All real cool things. I'm pretty sure you've seen our sample videos and sample pictures as well. So definitely check that out. You can see that the camera is a really good camera, and I really like using it as sort of my replacement for a point and shoot. So only thing that I've really been kind of annoyed with the interface here is that you can't create folders like you would normally do in stock ice cream sandwich by just dragging and dropping icons on top of one another to create the folder. You actually have to go in and create a folder and do all the things like that. Like, it's a much more cumbersome process, which I'm really not a fan of. They need to update it to go to the way it should be in Android. I really don't like that. And also the task manager is a little bit slow too. You have to hold down that hardware button, which takes a couple seconds for it to boot up here. And if you also don't change it from the S-Voice settings to not have to wait for S-Voice. If it's trying to predict if you're trying to launch S-Voice with the hardware button, it takes even longer for the multitasking to show up. Multitasking works, this takes a little bit longer to kind of pop up there. And one of my other gripes is, speaking on the hardware side of things, is the hardware button here itself. I really wish it was a little bit wider, in which it took up more of the bottom space. Not wider, I mean a little bit taller and a little bit more, not as wide with it, because sometimes I kind of miss the button there, or sometimes the button sort of feels like it's getting stuck a little bit. It's not as easily pressed down as you would like it to be. It doesn't feel as comfortable. I mean, it's usable. You're not going to get too frustrated with it, but you definitely do notice it. So that's one of the things I'm disappointed with, is sort of with the hardware button there below. Also, back to software with S-Voice, it's all right. I mean, it's nice that it's on there, but now that you guys are seeing Google Now, I really hope when they update this to 4.1, they just get rid of S-Voice and just use Google Now. It's much better, and I think it's a much more practical use of using voice search and voice commands. S-Voice is okay, but definitely not the greatest. Hi, Galaxy. What's today's weather report?
A thunderstorm in spots. Today's. The current temperature is 86 degrees.
Hi, Galaxy. Create an appointment for me for 8 o'clock to take the trash out.
Okay, what time?
8 p.m.
Here's your appointment. Should I see you?
Hi, Galaxy. Navigate me to the nearest Best Buy. Another software element that I didn't necessarily care for too much was the virtual keyboard, basically the stock one that Samsung puts in. Well, it's not really stock, it's basically the one they customize over the original ice cream sandwich keyboard. It has some swipe, predictive text and stuff like that within it, but it's not very good, not intuitive, and to be honest with you, it's better off that you go to the Android market and you download either the stock ice cream sandwich keyboard, or you get something like SwiftKey, which I actually do enjoy using quite a bit. Alright, going back to another sort of software gripe that I have, and that is sort of in the notification section. Now, this is really pertaining only to the Verizon version of the phone, and that the Verizon version, for whatever reason, they decided to put the Wi-Fi sort of button where it says ongoing, and you can't move that. I haven't figured out a way to remove that and put it back sort of at the top, at the top part where all the sort of the quick access buttons are at. I'm not sure why Verizon did that. I find it to be highly annoying that it's there, and they really should send out an update to fix that. All the other versions don't have this. It's only Verizon that does that. I just find that annoying and takes up sort of the notification screen real estate, which kind of sucks there. But as normally you would get with the notifications, you can swipe your notifications away and such there, and you'll clear them all out or individually swipe them out. So that's pretty cool that you still have that ability there. Normal stuff that you see in Ice Cream Sandwich with the data usage, you can go in there. The battery meter on there as well too. Speaking of battery life is pretty good on this phone as well. Really depends on who you are as a user. I'm a power user, and if I really am power using through the day, I'm gonna get about 8 to 10 hours. So I'm gonna assume it's probably gonna have to charge like one more time through the day to keep going through. If you're a moderate to light user, you're probably looking at getting yourself through the day pretty well, maybe even a little bit into the next day. It really depends. I would say that's going to be about anywhere from 15 to 18 hours. It really just depends on who you are as a user. One of the things I do like about it, it doesn't have that sort of standby battery drain that I found that Android tends to have, especially on 2.3 gingerbread devices where the battery just sort of just drains with the phone not doing anything. This has really good standby time. I was able to just kind of leave it there overnight one night with some light usage, and it lasted about 21 hours before it finally died out. So I really do like the fact that the Android sort of standby battery drain is finally solved inside of this phone here. And if you do need more battery, what's really cool is that you can replace the battery here within it, because it has a removable battery and an SD card slot as well too. The battery is 2100 milliamp hours, so it should be enough for most people. But when those extended batteries come out, it's going to really be nice, the fact that you can swap and put in your own battery, which is something that's been sort of going away with a lot of other top tier devices. So it's nice that it has that feature available. So definitely give Samsung a thumbs up on that, and probably one of the big key features inside this phone that it does have that. So have to give them a thumbs up on that as well. Well, we can go back here talking about the screen here a little bit. The 4.8-inch HD AMOLED display, which looks really, really nice. And some people are mad that it's not plus, so it's a pen tile display, so sub-pixels and blah, blah, blah. But unless you have the phone like right up here to your face, like at your eye, like under the microscope, like as I kind of have it here, and really, really, really look, you're really not going to notice the pixels, and you're going to get a great screen that's going to make everything look good. It's going to be a little oversaturated, so some colors going to pop a little bit higher, different than when you would see it sort of on a computer, but overall, you're going to enjoy looking at this screen, so I have no complaints with that. Watching video, playing games on it as well. Gaming is also pretty smooth on it too. I've been playing Angry Birds, phone games like Angry Birds, Amazing Alex, Temple Run, and stuff like that. All those games play well and look really good on the screen, so there's really not going to be any complaints about really using multimedia on the device with the screen and such like that, so have to give that a thumbs up as well too. Now, going into the hardware build of the phone, it is a plastic phone, mainly made of mostly plastic here, but it does have a nice solid feel to it. And when you do remove the battery door here, it does feel a little bit on the flimsy side. But when you put it all together, it does feel solid in the hand. Some people might not like the plastic feel of it, but I still feel like it's a pretty good device personally myself. It is a little bit slippery when you're holding it in your hand because of what the plastic back is sort of made out of. So it might be a little bit slippery and slick in that regards, but it's still a very thin and light and very pocketable device. Now, one of the things I do like about it is the fact that it's pretty much the same phone design across all carriers, so that's really going to allow a lot of accessories to be made for it, which is a very key thing. Plenty of cases, plenty of stands, plenty of docks, plenty of of accessories to be able to access with the Samsung Galaxy S3. So I definitely have to give it a thumbs up for that. And that's something I'm really going to enjoy, being able to have accessories. We're all going to be able to have accessories across the board, and everybody's going to be able to use them. So kudos to Samsung for really getting a great hardware design, and a hardware design to pretty much be the same across all carriers. So overall, what do I think of the Galaxy S3? I think it's one of the best Android phones that's available right now. As far as Verizon, it's part of their top tier Android phone available right now. So I definitely recommend for Verizon who's looking to get Android, the Galaxy S3 is the way to go. T-Mobile is definitely their top phone. Their top phone previously was the Galaxy S2, so the Galaxy S3, it's definitely worth upgrading, but you might want to wait till it gets a little bit cheaper to maybe upgrade then. Also on Sprint's probably their best. Probably this is tied up there with the HTC Evo 4G LTE on Sprint, and on AT&T it's tied with the One X there as far as that's concerned. I think the Galaxy S3 gets the edge over the HTC devices on both T-Mobile and, I'm sorry, not on T-Mobile, on both AT&T and also on Sprint as well too. But I definitely like the phone, have to give it a thumbs up, and if people are interested in Android and upgrading and want a really high quality phone that gives you Android, it gives you a great interface to use and great hardware, definitely the Samsung Galaxy S3 is the way to go. So this is BWOne here from BWOne.com, reminding you to subscribe to our YouTube page, follow us on Twitter and all of our social networks. The link to that is in the description, and always remember to live your tech world in high definition.